expect me to walk this tightrope. I got realizing I know that life is short. Don't play games, boy. It's
What's good, guys? My name is Freewell at Banjo, and I am a worship artist by day and cinematographer / storyteller by night. And I'm here to give a crash course on Dehancer. The team over at Dehancer saw some of my content on YouTube and wanted me to give an honest review of the Dehancer film emulation. So I'm just here, seeing that I just started about 11 months ago in my cinematography journey to help everybody who is also within that bucket of beginner to master color grading cinematically. Let's get into it. Now, before we get started, I do want to go ahead and say a huge thank you to the Dehancer team. This video is not sponsored. They are not paying me. But if you do like what you see, if you do fall in love with the Dehancer film emulation, I do have a discount that I will post somewhere on the screen for you to be able to get into the Dehancer film emulation yourself. Now, as I mentioned, I started my cinematography / storytelling journey about 11 months ago, around this time last year. And so I would consider myself still a beginner. But when I started this journey, I fell in love with the whole concept of film and cinematography. And quite frankly, I've learned that that is multifaceted and has a whole bunch of layers, from the camera you use and lenses to you as the creator and the angles you get or the messages and emotions that you're able to convey. But a huge part of cinematography and film that I've come to learn is coloring. Now, for my beginners, those who may not know, there's obviously the standard in the industry in Hollywood where when you see a movie, you know, yes, this is a film. This is a high quality film. Well, fortunately for us beginners or amateurs, we've been given the opportunity to emulate that through what is called a film emulation. And it is exactly what it sounds like. It allows for us to utilize very popular color schemes that are utilized in Hollywood today and utilize it with your own personal projects. And so I've grown to love various film emulations that come in the form of power grades like Cineprint 16 and Film Vision. So when Dehancer approached me with their film emulation, I was super excited, and I found some very positive things that I believe will help people who have just started, just like myself, to accomplish that film look and accomplish a cinematic color grade. Now, before we get into the clips here, I do want to give a huge disclaimer. I am by no means a professional colorist. So all the technical terms that I've learned with time, I'm going to keep that to a minimum and just kind of build things from a basic level. And I hope that this adds to y'all's knowledge as you go forward in your journey as well. But let's go ahead and get into the clips. Now, in this first clip, what you're going to notice is this clip is very flat or gray. For those who are beginning on your journey, I'm assuming that you've gotten into the various log profiles that you can shoot with, whether it be with Canon or Sony. And so you'll know that in log, you get the opportunity to exercise or utilize or leverage the dynamic range that comes with shooting in log. And all that simply means is it allows for you to really manipulate the colors to evoke that emotion or feeling that you're going for, ultimately accomplishing that film look. With Dehancer, what you'll be able to do is you'll select the effects tab here within Davinci Resolve. You'll scroll down to the bottom and you'll drag the film emulation to your clip. Now, immediately upon looking at the clip, you'll see that there's a blue hue or blue tint over the clip. It's perfectly fine. As I mentioned, I believe one of the positive things as far as Dehancer is how intuitive it is. So if you come over to the right here, you'll be able to select the source drop down. And in this case, what I've gone ahead to do while I've practiced with Dehancer is choose the camera. And there's a bunch of different options you have here. In this case, with this camera, or on this particular day, I was shooting with the Sony FX3. So I'll go ahead and select Sony. I'll scroll down to FX30. And then it also allows for you to select the format that you were shooting in. And I was shooting with the S-Log S Gamut Cine ISO 2500, and I was using an ND filter that day since we were outside. But then from there, you'll be able to select the defringe enabled. Quite frankly, I don't know what this does, but in the research I was doing, many people were just selecting that, so I'm going to go ahead and select it. And this is where you'll be able to go ahead and select the different film stocks that allow for you to accomplish that film look. I have utilized either the Kodak Vision 250D, which that 250D just means it's typically utilized for your daylight or if you're outside. However, I've either utilized that film stock or the Kodak Vision 3500T. I personally like the 500T more. I think it already just kind of puts me in the right direction as it relates to accomplishing that look and having a balanced color palette with my clip. But from there, I'll go ahead and select the film developer option here and I'll enable it. And this is where you'll be able to see how you can start adding color. I'll drag that color boost here and you can already see the color starting to be applied. I'll also go ahead and apply the contrast boost just to kind of create some color separation as well, typically like round numbers. So I'll go ahead and drag that there. But then with the film compression, I also go ahead and enable that. This allows for you to manipulate the color density. Things like this are very minimal, but you'll notice in the finite details. But I'll leave that there even though I enable it. And then this is also really cool here. You'll have different forms of prints that you can use, from linear to Cine on film log to Kodak 2383, which might I add is the most popular print film that creators use both in Hollywood as well as just content creators that I've seen. And you'll see it starts to kind of lean towards that cinematic look. This is a linear print. I've personally fallen in love with the Kodak Indira glossy paper. I don't know, I just think that it kind of gives it more of a realistic look while still accomplishing a cinematic feel. But that's just me personally. A couple of the things I want to highlight here is the analog range limiter. You'll notice that it just kind of like dampens the colors a little bit, almost like before we slapped on the emulation. Just giving you another opportunity to really leverage the dynamic range. But I'll leave that off for now. The color head, I do go ahead and enable that. This gives you the ability to mess with the yellows and the blues, the magentas and the greens, which I typically don't mess with, the cyans and the reds. Like I mentioned, I typically don't mess with these unless there's a specific feel that I'm going for. You additionally have the ability to mess with the shadow tones. You'll notice with the shadows or the darker areas of your film, if you turn it down or negative, it'll go more blue. If you turn it up, it'll become more warm. Same thing with your midtones, as well as your highlights as well. But in this case, again, because I'm kind of directing this for beginners, I typically don't mess with these with things that I'm working quickly on. Unless there's a project that I'm working on, then I'll come in and mess with these different aspects of the film emulation, but I typically just leave it as it is. I'll probably uncheck that. You'll probably notice that the clip itself seems a little grainy. The film emulation comes with film grain turned on already, so I'll go in and I'll unclick that to kind of clean up the image. I personally don't really like film grain unless I'm going something that's nostalgic, kind of really calming. But most of my content, because I'm either posting on social media or YouTube, I want it to be clear, so I'll go ahead and uncheck that. What I really, really love about the film emulation is the ability to leverage halation and bloom. And so for those who don't know, halation just gives you that more softer look. It softens the lights within your clips. And the same thing applies with bloom as well. It gives it more of a highlighted, illuminated feel or look to your lights or your colors within the clip. And so I do like to go ahead and mess with this as well. And what I'll go ahead and do is I'll turn up the halation here to like 100. And then I'll leave the bloom at 50 as well. But this ultimately is going to give me the ability to go ahead and give that cinematic view. And for those who are wondering, this is a clip with my wife. We went to Mexico. If you're interested in seeing more of this clip, I will include a card here in the video somewhere above, so you can go and watch that video. But the next clip I'm gonna go ahead and highlight here is going to be a piece of content that I actually posted on my personal social media. I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna drag the emulation onto the clip. I'm gonna go ahead and select my camera, FX3, and I was shooting here with the S-Log3 S-Gamut ISO 2500. I'll turn on the defringe enabled, or I'll enable the defringe. I'll go ahead and select the Kodak 500T once again. I will enable the color boost and drag that up, and you'll notice that it already looks great. One thing I do want to do is, because I like how this looks, I'll probably leave the print as linear. I think I messed around with it earlier, and the Kodak 2383 I think is a little too cinematic. And then the glossy paper is cool. Actually, I'll leave it as a glossy paper. I think I like this better. One other thing that I really want to do for this is I'll turn off the film grain so that it's a clear pick or a clear clip. But I do want to go ahead and turn up the halation and the bloom, just because the sun was out this day and the way that it was hitting the trees I thought was really dope. And so I kind of wanted to give that very airy, soft look and feel. But again, you'll see that look here. Awesome. Now, one thing that I do want to go ahead and mention as it relates to Davinci specifically, for those who may be using Davinci, is you do have the ability to copy and paste your color grade to any clip. And the way that you would do so is you would select, I would make sure that this is in gallery and I hit stills. You would then be able to hit grab still. And then if you come to your next clip, you'll be able to right click, hit apply grade, and that'll be it. And the same exact color grade that you had in the previous clip, you'll be able to utilize within your next clip. And what I'll do here is I'll come back up. I do have the saturation up. I'll probably turn up the tonal contrast, and this will allow for you to kind of create some separation between your highlights and your shadows. I'll probably leave that at like 15. But then here, because the sun is shining again, I really like that. So I'm gonna turn up the halation. Actually, no, I'm gonna leave the halation where it's at. I'm gonna turn up the bloom, and you'll notice that softness come to the clip. And these, and the whole point of this clip was to kind of capture some animals. I think that kind of, and some nature. I think it gives an accurate depiction of nature as well. So with this last clip, I went ahead and selected this clip because I wanted to show how the emulation performs on skin tones. I'm gonna keep it as simple as possible. I'll go ahead and apply the same grade to this clip here. And what you'll notice is, in as much as the colors are very vibrant, you'll notice that some of the skin tones are very orange on some of the lighter complexion people. So what I'll go ahead and do is jump into the emulation here. I will actually go to the print section and turn down the saturation a little bit. You'll see that kind of takes down the color, but now it starts to lean more towards being washed. So I'll jump back up to the film developer section here, and I will turn up the contrast boost just a little bit. Probably take it to 20. And I think this is leaning more towards the colors that I'm looking for that are accurate to people's skin tones that day. If I want to add a little bit more color here, I'll probably add some more tonal range here just to create that separation. Put it at 40 probably here. As well as tonal contrast. and I'm just gonna do it ever so slightly. One thing that I forgot to mention as it relates to this is when it comes to color grading, understand that this is all subjective. This is all about what satisfies you as it relates to how you are color grading and the look you're going for. I know one thing for me when it came to color grading, especially as a beginner, is I wanted to emulate as much as possible some of the creators that I saw online. But I ended up finding out that all of this is subjective, right? If you want your clips to be more warm, if you want them to be more cool, if you want them to be more vibrant in color, if you want them to be more flat, it's all up to you. So as you grow in your journey, do not feel like you are missing the mark, for lack of better words. But I think that this kind of accomplishes the goal that I'm going for. One thing I will turn down is the bloom. I think the bloom is a little bit too much here on the faces. So I'll turn that down just a little bit, or a lot of it, maybe down to 20. And I'll turn down the halation as well to about 50. And there we go. And yeah. I do really appreciate you guys tuning in. I really hope that this was helpful as a beginner. If you have any questions or if you would like to see more videos on the Dehancer film emulation, drop them down in the comments down below. But I appreciate you guys once again. And once again, thank you so much to the Dehancer team. I'll catch you guys in the next video.